Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Not a bad-looking day. It looks pretty nice out there, Robin.
Beautiful.
Just like it did 18 years ago, right? Which don't want to always kind of remind everybody of September 11th, but you remember it was like this?
It was.
It was beautiful.
It was a beautiful
Even
day.
in New York. It was beautiful here. It was beautiful there, right? Mm-hmm. Let's take a detour and go someplace fun. Justin Long is in the studio. I love his... every time I get to meet somebody... Robin puts together a micro resume. So if this was your resume, Justin, I would hire you. Because the first thing it says is a self-embracing nerd. Is that true?
That is absolutely true. I don't know. I like to think that I'm a nerd, but I went to MegaCon this year, and now I question my level of nerdiness.
All right.
I'm a quasi-nerd, at least.
So you like podcasts. Well, this broadcast is also going to be a podcast once we get up. And right now, the picture people are looking at, it's a YouTube podcast, shows the cover of your book. Was it Of the Horse Doctor's Husband? Adventures of the Horse Doctor. I forgot the first word. Let me get you guys on the picture because you're in the picture, so is the Horse Doctor. And let's see, it says also in your micro resume that you love crunching numbers. See, I'm with you on the nerd thing, but I am not a number cruncher. You're a researcher of interesting things. I think that's true for me, too. I'm not sure what you're interested in, but you're an artist. We do art. You're a humorist. I don't know if that applies to us, but once in a while I get a chuckle. Joe doesn't think I'm funny. You're an advocate for reading. Absolutely love listening to podcasts. Me too.
I do.
Absolutely.
Also. And Justin, what is your wife's name?
Erica.
Erica, that's right. You introduced me. I'm so sorry.
I know she's all over the book, too. I asked the same question. You get in a different mode, when
So
you
this is
greet
fun.
people.
So you're in the studio. This is awesome. Where do you live? Where's home?
We are up in Newberry, just outside of Gainesville, Florida.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a veterinary practice up there, and then we live about a mile away from
Are you also a doctor?
No, I'm the bookkeeper and the website guy and the podcast guy. And
Oh, okay.
And you're an artist, too.
yeah, I do paint the paintings that are hanging on the wall and sweep the floor and all the stuff that doctors don't want to do.
How did you guys meet? Erica, how did you meet?
We met on eHarmony.
You did?
We
We are an
did.
internet success story.
Wow.
Erica, how long were you on it before you found Justin?
Not very long, like 2 months maybe.
2 months?
Yeah.
How many losers did you come across?
Not many because I didn't do a very good job at doing eHarmony. So, but I didn't have time to date. I was trying to figure out how to, streamline that process.
Were you looking for another doctor?
No.
No.
Didn't care about that. Didn't
Were you
care
looking
about
for a
it.
nerd? Because you got one.
I definitely a nerd because I'm a nerd too. So,
Are you?
if we can't talk Doctor Who, what can we talk
Women
about?
aren't nerds. No, that's only a guy thing. I'm a nerd. So how long were you on eHarmony before you met Erica?
4 days.
4 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you hadn't dated anybody else from that service?
Not from eHarmony, no. No, I hit gold the first try, and that's
Wow.
probably pretty rare, I would imagine.
How
but-
far away were you from each other when you found each other,
Oh,
physically?
I was up in Savannah, Georgia.
So about 3 hours.
A 3-hour drive.
Oh, wow, that's pretty far.
Yeah. Well, the other remote possibility that eHarmony gave me was in Oregon, so Florida seemed pretty close.
Erica, my brother lives in Oregon. I'm telling you about my brother because he's also a veterinarian. He was a horse or a large animal doctor. I don't know, horses and cows and things like that. I think now he's a professor or something. I don't know. But
There's a veterinary school in Oregon, so he could be a
He's the
professor there.
professor.
I guess
there,
that's what he does. He teaches or something like that. When did you go to school? Did you
tried-
go to UF?
I went to UF. I'm a leave Gainesville failure, sort of like a foster failure of a
What does
pet
that
animal.
mean?
So I came to Gainesville in 1993 to start school, and I really haven't left since then. So I did undergrad, and then I did vet school there. Graduated in 2001. I went to Texas for a year to do an internship. Veterinarians aren't required to do an internship, but especially in the equine world, it's helpful to have that extensive experience.
Do you have a lot of horse patients here in Ocala?
We actually don't do a lot in Ocala. We stay one county north of here for the most part. We go from there north
Okay.
for the most part of things. But I did determine that I didn't like Texas very much, and so I came back to Gainesville.
So I want to get to the book, but before we do that, one last non-book question. Tell me about the podcast.
All right, so we have a podcast called Straight from the Horse Doctor's Mouth, which is a lot of me interviewing her about how to be a good horse owner.
Is it audible only or is it video also?
It is audible only. You don't want to look at me too much. About 30 minutes is plenty. But yeah, we produce one every 2 weeks, and it is available everywhere. But most of it started out as me being interested in it because I met her when I was like 38. So I was not a horse person, and I have a lot to learn in a short amount of time. Like how can I best do that?
Are you a horse person now in the sense of loving horses? That's what I mean.
It depends on the horse.
Oh, really?
No, I'm a level one, but I'm a ground crew guy. So I drive the truck and carry all the heavy stuff and do all the ground stuff. But I don't think I'm ever going to get on one.
How long have you two been married?
What, 5 years?
5 years.
And that's very evident in your book because you are also a humorist as well. And
right.
it comes across in your book, but there are also some very emotional stories in there also.
You know, being around horses, I think anyone that has a horse would tell you that it is an emotional experience. But, you know, the highs are really high and the lows are really low. And, you know, being the horse doctor's husband, I don't do a lot of the day-to-day stuff with her, but I'd go on all the emergencies at nighttime and on the weekends. And so that ends up being a crisis for most people in that time. So,
oh, wow. So are you there to comfort somebody whose horse is dying, that kind of thing?
we're there to hopefully save the horse, and if not, then make it the best that it can possibly be in a horrible situation for those people.
But I guess what I'm asking is, does Erica actually do the hands-on work with saving the horse?
Right.
I mean, what are you actually doing? Are you actually comforting the people? Or do you literally, like, hold up a leg or something?
I'm assisting her mostly.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's, I mean, a lot of it is people support. I think that's a misconception about veterinary medicine in general, is that it is mostly people management and a little bit of animal management. So there's a lot of trying to help everybody understand the situation clearly and make the best decisions and guide them through that process.
Do you have to resist telling a joke when you know it might not be appropriate?
I do, because
Yeah.
that's how I deal with stress. I will always say the most inappropriate thing. Part of my training as a horse doctor's husband is learning to have a filter.
You also talk about kittens.
Oh, man. Well, she's a crazy cat lady. So I knew that coming into it, but since everybody knows that, we're not shy about putting that out there. Sometimes kittens get dumped on us. So there is a chapter in the book that talks about a pair of kittens that were probably 2 days old when they got dumped on us, and the process of me never having dealt with any of that before, learning how bottle baby kittens work. Because I was like, oh, this will be great. You know, they're cute and cuddly. And then she's like, and you need to feed them every 2 hours, 24 hours a day. And I'm like, whoa. So, and then I didn't sleep for a month.
And do you still have them? Do you still have
No. Once we got them to a stable age where they could eat solid food, we found them a home. I worked very hard at finding them a home.
So do you have any pets at all?
Oh, no, we've got, 7 horses, 5 cats, 2 dogs, 2 donkeys, a sheep named Gerald. We claim an owl that lives in the woods near our house.
Can I
His
ask you a
name is
question?
Bert. Sure.
Why is the sheep the only one you told us the name of?
Well, because we have so many, and it took me like a year
A
to learn
sheep
everybody's
named
name.
Gerald. None of the other animals were identified.
Well, the horses are hers. You know, the dogs belong to her mom. The cats are hers.
Oh.
The sheep, you know.
Oh, that's
I have a
yours.
connection with the sheep.
That's why. That's kind of funny.
They lazy.
Your personality comes through in your book, by the way.
Yeah, that's good.
Are you an author, like, in other ways? Have you written other books?
I have a science fiction series called the Dim World series. That's my primary focus.
Really?
So this was sort of a side project, but I think that it's easier to sink your heart into something like this because it's all real life stuff. So I've had a lot of fun with this project.
Okay, nice.
Well, you're very outdoorsy, though. I mean, you were actually riding cows, too.
I am very outdoorsy. That's We just came back from a backpacking trip out in Yosemite where we spent 5 days out there freezing to death because they still have snow in August. And
Oh, my.
Yeah, that was exciting.
You were backpacking?
We did.
How far did you walk?
I don't
Really,
know.
really
The
far.
guide says
Really, really far.
the guide said 25 miles. I think it was about 400, 450. So somewhere between 25 miles. and
eHarmony
400.
did a good job putting you two together. They did good, huh?
They
I
did.
think they did a great job.
That's awesome. I love seeing this. And me too is so in love. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful, right?
Even though your book is sad at times, you don't dwell on abuse or neglect. You speak about the relationships that the animals have with the people and vice versa.
Yeah, I think that's a really important focus for me. One of the things that happens with people that I've noticed is when you get sucked into the rabbit hole of just focusing on the bad stuff, it's really hard to get out of that. And I didn't want the book to become just, horror story after horror story because there's no joy in that. And I think most people know that stuff is happening. So it doesn't need a giant spotlight shined on it. I don't think. So what I am much more interested in helping people recognize is the importance of the relationship that people have with their animals and with their veterinarian, because both of those relationships are really at the center of most of these people's lives.
And you have to
Especially in the
trust.
world.
Yeah, and you have to have that trust.
Absolutely. When you're, having a horse is a lot different than having any other animal, I think. And when you're relying on someone to answer the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning because it's a life and death situation, you need to know that they're going to answer that phone and take care of you in every way that they can. So
who answers the phone, you or her?
no, I don't ever hear the phone.
Erica answers the phone.
Yeah. I hear the elbow and the ribs saying it's time to go to work.
So with all the information that you've in your mind, how did you decide which ones would be in the book?
It was really tough, but some of my criteria were, A, it had to be interesting, B, it had to be something that I could anonymize, if that's a word, to where,
It is now.
I don't
You're a
want
writer. You can make up words.
That's right, I can do that. So I am anonymizing these stories as best I can so that I'm not, breaking the trust of our clients and their patients. So-
Right. Sure.
So I tried to not, now, the highway story is an exception to that, of course.
That was amazing.
But yeah, well, he was very.
Absolutely.
All right. Tell that one for the audience, if you could.
Okay, so yeah, if you're not familiar with Highway, Highway is a horse. He's a blown-out barrel horse, and he went through several owners before he wound up at one in Ocala here, I believe, or nearby. And she decided that he was unsafe and that he needed to be euthanized. And so, I don't want to speak ill of her and her decision-making process, but she dropped him off with someone else who was going to do that for her for free. And what really happened was Highway got loaded on a trailer to go to a slaughter auction. And for some reason, I don't know why, early in the morning, that guy stopped on the side of the interstate. And when he took off again on I-75, the trailer door came open. And Highway made the questionable but life-saving decision to jump out of the trailer as he was going down the road at probably 30, 40 miles an hour. And it skinned him alive. His knees were packed with asphalt. I mean, he was tore up really bad. But he got off the side of the road before another car came along and hit him, which is a miracle in itself.
Yeah.
And it was still dark. He's a black horse. So the fact that he made it off of the trailer, survived the fall, and then didn't get run over immediately is amazing. So as it became daylight, people started seeing him standing on the side of the road and called the sheriff. And the sheriff called us, and we came out and determined that he was stable enough to move. And so we got him on a trailer and took him back to the clinic and started the process of trying to see if he was even going to survive this or not, because his injuries were pretty severe. And while we were doing that, the sheriff's department is trying to find an owner and figure out, who this horse belongs to. And as the day wore on, nobody was claiming him. And we had a Facebook campaign going on trying to get word out that we have this horse, we need to know who it belongs to. And eventually some of his previous owners saw the Facebook post and were like, hey, that was my horse. And so the sheriff was able to talk to them and figure out who they sold the horse to and then who that person sold the horse to and follow the trail to figure out where he was. But
Wow.
in the meantime, we did a GoFundMe campaign to at least get him into surgery because he was at a point where he only had an hour before something had to happen. So
Really?
we were able to raise like $10,000 in about an hour and a half.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
And so he went to surgery, and he began the process of healing, and he's had another surgery since then, but he has gone on to make a full recovery and is living at a permanent home at a rescue facility now outside of Orlando.
It's God's miracle.
That is a story. Oh my
That's
gosh.
amazing.
That's one story in this book?
That is one
Of
chapter.
many. So that's a movie in and of itself.
I think it would make a fantastic movie.
Oh my gosh, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Did you know Highway before this happened?
No, we had no idea who he was.
Wow.
So, but he, because we did a really good job with PR, and he got very famous very fast. We ended up keeping him at our house just to keep the public away from him, from people showing up at the back.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
gosh.
Well-wishers, but he had lots of people bringing carrots. I mean, he had bags and bags
Did you
and
do
bags
the
of carrots.
surgery, Erica?
We don't quite go to that level of surgery, so he came to one of the really great hospitals in Ocala, Equine Medical Center,
Okay,
and they
okay.
did that surgery, got him kind of through that, and then he came back to us the next day.
Wow.
But they were literally picking chunks of asphalt out of his knees.
What a sad, what we do to animals, euthanize, it's just a crazy word too, isn't it?
In the
And he-
slaughterhouse.
And he's so sweet. I mean, he really is one of the sweetest horses.
Isn't that amazing? It's an amazing story, really.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that's been in contact with him hasn't fallen in love
Are you
with him.
vegetarians?
No. We don't eat horses, though.
We don't eat lamb either.
Yeah, no horse and no lamb.
I often wonder. I mean, every time we speak to a vegetarian, I'm going to be one until lunchtime. Then I
Try
change.
it out.
Then I change my mind. I don't know. So
How important a role did faith play in your life before Highway?
Did what? I'm sorry.
Faith.
Faith?
Before Highway, because he is God's miracle.
That's a challenging question, because every situation that you run into grips you so tightly, but they're also completely different. So I would say there's a very strong common denominator among things. But, I think that seeing a brand new baby foal be born and be up standing and nursing in an hour, and just that miracle is
That
just
is a miracle,
unbelievable
isn't
to
it?
witness as well.
I know, isn't it crazy? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, a baby horse does more in the first 2 hours of its life than a human does in a year,
I believe that, sure. It's
unbelievable.
evident.
So,
Especially when you see them come out and their legs are all tangled up, and then in a little
But
while.
wait a minute. I hate to be one-upped,
uh-oh.
but can a horse eat 2 Oreos in one bite? I told you I was a nerd. Just saying.
You can probably eat the whole
That
package.
is definitely a nerd kind of a joke, right? So, oh my gosh, what a great book. So tell me one of the funny stories in the book.
Oh,
That's a touching one. You're a funny guy.
we have had some really good times. I think that we have a circus client, and going to see them for just general care.
What
and
does that
doing
mean?
vaccine
A
systems.
whole circus is your client?
They are a small circus.
Oh, really?
Well, they're animal trainers that get attached to a circus.
Okay,
We call
okay.
them our circus client. But
Okay.
they've got zebras and camels and goats and Indian running ducks and, of course, dogs.
Indian running ducks.
Miniature horses. You have not lived until you have seen 5 Indian running ducks in a row, and they stand upright instead of down like a mallard. They stand upright, running and jumping through a hula hoop.
Oh my gosh, this is
That is an
amazing.
experience that you must have. So getting to go out there and work with those guys and see their act as they're kind of getting ready to go out on the road is just, watching a goat ride a miniature horse and then take a bow at the end. And
Oh my gosh.
Just fantastic entertainment.
See, I like that stuff too, but there's some of these animal rights people, they don't like that stuff.
Well, I think people often rush to judgment on things without understanding the whole situation. And if you spent a day with these people and watched them interact with their animals, you know that none of that is a concern at this place. And I'm sure there are places where it is, but this isn't one of them.
Was there any apprehension about you putting out the book and people thinking about people might recognize their situation and
I am a little
not
nervous about
appreciate
that. I hope that no one has an ill experience with that, but I've tried to anonymize most of it to the point that there's only 2 or 3 stories, I think, where people would recognize their own story. So I'm not too concerned about that.
Once you started writing, was it like a marathon for you? You had to get to the end, or
It
did you
was.
contemplate?
Well,
Certain
part of
things.
it is I participated in National Novel Writing Month, which is November, and I
Oh.
wrote that. And so the idea is that you write I think it's like 1,600 words a day for 30 days, and then at the end you have a 50,000 word book. So I wrote, and that was an 80,000 word book. So I wrote the vast majority of that in 30 days, and that was a terrible plan. So I put all my bookkeeping duties aside and everything else. I didn't do anything else for a month, and then I had to catch up with all that.
Okay,
my gosh.
so let's see. Erica really changed your life a lot.
Yeah.
Prior to meeting Erica, your path was heading in the direction of being an author?
I have been writing all my life, but I never wrote a full-length book until I met her. And part of it is that you need time to be able to commit to that, and you also need a cheerleader motivating you and keeping you going, and I didn't have either one of those things.
So that's a question for Erica. So as a cheerleader, you can't be a yes girl. You have to always, you have to have the courage to say, that's not so good.
I'm fine with that.
She's very fine with that.
How are you? How are you? Because that honesty makes your writing better, right?
Absolutely.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I trust her judgment on that, and
So-
I think most people can't do that with their loved one, but she's very honest with me, which I appreciate.
So what do you do? Show like a chapter at a time, or?
Well, I cry, and then I show her a chapter and let her read it, and then I'm braced for whatever the bad news is.
Oh, really?
It's never as bad as he thinks it is.
No, she's pretty gentle with me, but I try to do maybe a few chapters at a time just so that it doesn't get too carried away, and I need her to read an entire book in a night so that I can fix it tomorrow.
Oh, my.
The Adventures of the Horse Doctor's Husband is the name of the book. It's a handsome-looking book. I know they say I don't judge a book by its cover, but this is a nice-looking job.
Some fabulous people that made that happen.
The author's name is Justin B. Long. He's in the studio with us. If you look at the back flap, his name is J. Boyd Long, so we get both the middle and the first name in different places.
And September 13th was your release date.
Yes, it comes out on Friday.
Sounds like he was let out of
Nice.
prison. Release date.
Well, if you got to get out of prison, Friday the 13th.
And what is the difference between this book and your Dim World series?
Oh, everything. The reason that my bio says J. Boyd Long is that's the name that I publish under as a science fiction author. And because there's an actor named Justin Long, and he's got Google locked down for the first 300 pages.
Oh, my gosh.
I had to go
Oh,
with my
really?
name. So, but they have some common themes, I think. I mentioned seeing a therapist in that book, and my main character in my science fiction series sees a therapist, and that's something that I've tried to, without beating people over the head with it, I try to make that an okay thing, because I think everybody should see a therapist. It made my life tremendously better. It helped me find her, which is
Wow.
made my life
A therapist
better.
recommended you go to eHarmony?
No, my therapist helped me understand who I am and what I was looking for in a partner, which before then I didn't know. And so I was looking for the wrong people in the wrong places.
Oh,
you were looking for
gosh.
Playboy models? You can't. I did too.
Yeah, the fake ones.
You two are so sweet. It's a joy to get to know both of you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your work with animals, both of you, and for what you do. So the book is, are we giving this one away?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so call me right now,
Please, Brad.
622-9622. Adventures of the Horse Doctor's Husband, featuring Highway, the I-75 miracle horse. You probably just heard Justin tell that story. Is that Highway on the front?
That is Highway.
Oh my gosh, he doesn't look,
Doesn't look banged up at all, does he?
no, it looks cute and thoughtful, actually. It's like a thoughtful face. All right, you have headphones on, you can hear the caller. Good morning, you've got the book. Who's this?
Good morning. My name is Bill.
Bill, do you know where we are?
I know exactly where you are. You're in the mall.
All right, we got the book waiting for you.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bill.
Hey, I think you got a hit on your hands. We had many calls coming in there.
Is there going to be a sequel?
Most likely, yes. There are more adventures of the Horse Doctor's Husband happening every day. So I haven't started it yet, but I already got the gears turning on what'll go in there.
This could be a miniseries on the Hallmark Channel.
It really
This would be good.
So is
This would
the
be really good. Or Amazon.
So
Do like
is
that
the
now.
celebrity that might come from this something you're worried about? Erica?
A little bit.
A little bit?
It's hard to hit that.
Are you both
so-
on the podcast? Are you both on the podcast?
We are. Yeah.
Ah, so then you got it. You're okay with it.
Yeah.
Well,
She is
I'm
the
gonna
most
listen
famous
to
horse
it.
doctor in podcasting.
tell me again the name of the podcast.
It's straight from the horse doctor's mouth.
I want the listeners to know that because I'm a big podcast lover too.
I love
I
'em.
told you before we went on, we do a children's podcast, but I don't listen to children's podcasts.
Well, I don't listen to horse podcasts.
And you have a website of your own.
SpringHillEquine.com is the veterinary clinic website, and there is a menu option books, SpringHillEquine.com/books. This is all about horse doctor's husband. And also jboydlong.com is my science fiction writer's website.
Nice.
We have another phone call coming in. I don't have enough time for it, though. Sorry, you waited too long. Thank you both for coming in here.
All right, thank you so much for having us. This was great.
All right, we will be right back.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. 18 years ago this morning, September 11th, terrorists hijacked 4 planes that crashed into the World Trade Center in New York, the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
At Elmiro Abad, Marie Rose Abad, Andrew